R. Kelly, Beyonce was on that island where Beyonce was on island.
Man.
Liars are now the face of our culture. You think they would ever?
This business is so disgusting that I can't. I think that Jay-Z and Beyonce are master manipulators.
What if I told you there was a woman who allegedly knew everything about the affairs, about the island, about the parties behind closed doors that powerful people in Hollywood prayed would never see the light of day? A woman who was reportedly connected to one of the biggest names in music, not just romantically, but in ways that went so much deeper. A woman who agreed to tell her story. A woman who picked up the phone and said yes. A woman who was found dead in her home before she ever got the chance to speak. Her name was Cathy White. And this is the story that Hollywood has been trying to bury for over a decade. Stay with me, because this one is going to shake you. To understand what allegedly happened to Cathy White, you first have to understand who she actually was, because the media never really gave her that. Cathy White was not some random woman. She was not a nobody. She was a respected publicist and health and fitness expert working in the heart of the entertainment industry. She had built real relationships. She had real access. And she moved in circles that most people only read about in tabloids. She was well-connected, well-liked, and by all accounts, she was thriving. Her best friend was Claudia Jordan. Yes, that Claudia Jordan, the model and TV personality who had her own close ties to some of the biggest names in entertainment. And it was reportedly through Claudia that Cathy first got connected to Jay-Z. Now, if you know anything about Jay-Z's world, you know that his circle is incredibly tight. Getting close to someone at that level isn't something that just happens by accident.
Oh, Beyonce had the best fit for somebody else?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You think they would ever tell the truth?
You have to be trusted. You have to be somebody. And by all accounts, Cathy was. But trust, in this world, is a double-edged sword. Because the closer you get to power, the more dangerous your silence becomes. And the more dangerous your voice becomes, too. Rumors about Cathy and Jay-Z started circulating quietly at first, the way these things always do in Hollywood. Whispers at events. Speculation behind closed doors. Nothing confirmed. Nothing public. That is, until a journalist named Liz Crocken came into the picture. Liz Crocken was working for Star magazine at the time. Her boss sent her to reach out to Cathy White for an exclusive. Just a routine assignment, as far as Liz was concerned. What she got was anything but routine. At first, Cathy did what anyone in her position would do. She denied everything. She protected the man she was allegedly involved with. She kept the wall up. And honestly, can you blame her? When you're connected to someone at Jay-Z's level, you understand, instinctively, that certain conversations carry consequences. But Liz had something Cathy wasn't expecting. Photos. Never before seen photos of Cathy and Jay-Z together, in what Liz described as a compromising situation. And that changed everything. When Cathy saw those photos, the wall came down. She broke. And according to Liz, she started opening up. She started talking about what she had allegedly been going through. The relationship. The pressure. The things she had witnessed in those circles. She was, by Liz's account, very strongly considering going on the record. She told Liz she would think about it. She told her she would give her the exclusive. She seemed ready.
Beyonce and Jay-Z are linked to island.
What do you mean she's
Scared, but ready. But here is where things get chilling. Before Cathy agreed to speak with Liz, she made a mistake. A massive one. She told Jay-Z that the reporter had reached out. She told him she was considering doing the interview. She essentially warned the one person who had the most to lose from her going public. Days passed. Liz called Cathy to follow up. And called again. And again. Cathy's phone rang out every single time. Liz thought it was strange. Cathy always answered her work phone. Always. For a PR professional, the phone is your lifeline. Going silent like that made no sense. So Liz reached out to one of Cathy's colleagues. And the colleague told her the words that stopped everything cold. She's dead. Cathy White was found dead in her home. She was reportedly 28. Some reports say 29. By all accounts, she was young, healthy, and had no known medical conditions. The official cause of death was listed as a brain aneurysm. A brain aneurysm in a healthy woman in her late 20s, with no prior health issues. who just happened to die days before she was scheduled to give an explosive tell-all interview. People weren't buying it, and the questions started coming fast. The timing was undeniable. She told Jay-Z she was going public. Then she died. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to feel uncomfortable with that sequence of events. But the timeline wasn't even the most alarming part. According to the rumors that were circulating at the time, Cathy White was allegedly pregnant when she died. Heavily pregnant. And here's where the story takes a sharp, dark turn, because right around that same time, Beyoncé gave birth to Blue Ivy. Now, Beyoncé had previously and very publicly shared that she struggled with fertility.
A healthy 28-year-old woman, I was told that she didn't have any health issues,
She had opened up about pregnancy losses in a way that felt raw and real to fans. So when Blue Ivy was born, the world celebrated alongside her. But some people were watching something else entirely. They were watching a viral video that had been circulating online, footage from an Australian television interview where Beyoncé appeared while reportedly 5 months pregnant. She walked out confidently, sat down, and in slow motion, her baby bump visibly crumpled. It folded. It didn't move the way any naturally pregnant woman's belly would move. The internet exploded. Was Beyoncé using a surrogate? Was she wearing a prosthetic bump to keep up appearances while someone else carried her child? And most disturbingly, was that surrogate Cathy White? These were the questions burning through social media. And the people asking them weren't just randoms on the internet. One of the most prominent voices bringing this forward was someone who had seen a lot in her career and wasn't afraid of anyone. Wendy Williams. Let's talk about Wendy for a moment. Because Wendy Williams is a complicated figure, polarizing, provocative, and often criticized for going too far. But one thing about Wendy that even her harshest critics would admit? She rarely made things up out of thin air. Her receipts were usually real, even if the delivery was chaotic. Wendy had heard the Cathy White rumors. She'd been waiting, watching, while Liz Crocken pursued the exclusive. And when Cathy died before that interview could happen, Wendy made a calculated decision. She wasn't going to say Cathy's name publicly.
Dead. What happened to her? This is just a beautiful, young, seemingly...
Not yet. She had already received threats before, from Diddy, from Tupac, after she'd made comments about them that they didn't appreciate. The last thing she needed was the entire Carter machine coming after her. So in 2011, she played it careful. She went on air and talked about the baby bump video. She broke it down frame by frame, in that unfiltered way only Wendy could. She talked about how she'd had her own pregnancy and knew what a real bump looked like. She even called out the shape. What was that? She asked. A frisbee? She was funny about it, but underneath the humor was a pointed suggestion. She said it plainly. Beyoncé's pregnancy, she believed, was a way to keep the attention off Jay-Z's alleged mistress. And she said, remember, I'm the first one to say this, that it would be an at-home water birth in the master bathroom, with only Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and Miss Tina present. That was all she was willing to say at the time. But she was circling something. And years later, she would come back to it, harder and with more specifics. Here's where the story shifts from celebrity gossip into something that feels genuinely darker. When the Epstein files began to surface, the documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced financier whose connections to powerful men across politics, finance, and entertainment sent shockwaves through the world, Jay-Z's name reportedly appeared. The allegation in those files was serious. Jay-Z was allegedly named in connection with a reported assault involving an unconscious woman at one of those infamous private gatherings, alongside Harvey Weinstein, a man now convicted of multiple counts of sexual assault. Jay-Z denied the allegations. His legal team pushed back fiercely. But the name was there. In the files. And once something is in the files, it doesn't go away. And according to the updated version of Wendy's account, this is connected to Cathy White in a way that goes far beyond the affair and the surrogate rumors. Cathy White, the reports alleged, had attended several high-profile events in those circles. She was connected to powerful men. She had access. She reportedly witnessed things, including allegedly events tied to the same island, the same private gatherings that are now the subject of federal investigations and explosive lawsuits. She wasn't just Jay-Z's alleged mistress. She was allegedly a witness. A living, breathing person who had been inside those rooms and knew what happened there. And she was about to talk. If what Wendy and others have alleged is accurate, then Cathy White wasn't just a threat to Jay-Z's marriage. She was a threat to something much larger. A network of powerful men whose freedom and legacy depended on what stayed secret. How does a healthy woman in her late 20s suddenly die of a brain aneurysm right before going public? You tell me. After Cathy died, Liz Crocken never forgot. She went quiet for a while, but she never let it go. When Kanye West, in one of his many explosive public moments, claimed that Jay-Z had people around him capable of violence, people who could be deployed to handle problems, Liz Crocken heard it differently than most. She went on record with a tweet that shook people. She wrote, "When Kanye says Jay-Z has people who handle things, she believes he is talking about what happened to Cathy White." She never expanded on that publicly. Not then. But when Diddy was arrested, and Jay-Z's name began appearing in related allegations, including a lawsuit filed by a woman accusing both Diddy and Jay-Z of a serious assault, Liz came back with fury. She posted again. She told Jay-Z she was the reporter who spoke to his alleged mistress right before she died. She said she knows everything. She said justice is coming. Whether you believe her or not, this is a woman who clearly never stopped thinking about Cathy White. And Claudia Jordan, Cathy's best friend, the woman who introduced her to that world, has gone very, very quiet about all of this. You can understand why. When you've watched what allegedly happened to your closest friend, the safest thing you can do is step away and stay silent. That silence speaks volumes. Cathy White never got to tell her story. Her name barely made headlines when she died. There was no major news cycle. No memorial segments on the evening news. She was young, she was successful, she was reportedly on the verge of exposing something powerful, and then she was gone. That's not a story. That's a warning. We live in a world where the powerful have long operated with a level of protection the rest of us will never fully understand. Where silence is enforced not always through threats, but sometimes, allegedly, through something far more permanent. Was Cathy White's death a natural tragedy? A devastating coincidence? A young woman taken too soon by a cruel medical event that no one could have predicted? Or was it something else? The truth is, we may never know. Not officially. Not legally. Not in the way that would hold anyone accountable. But the names keep coming up. The files keep surfacing. The people who were supposed to stay silent keep talking. And journalists like Liz Crocken, who watched a woman die before she could tell her story, refuse to move on. Jay-Z and Beyoncé are two of the most powerful, most celebrated figures in the history of entertainment. Their legacy is enormous. Their influence is undeniable. But power does not equal innocence. And fame does not equal truth. Cathy White deserved better. She deserved the chance to speak. She deserved a world where the story she was about to tell couldn't be erased along with her. Maybe one day, she'll get justice. Until then, we remember her name. Comment below. What do you think really happened to Cathy White? And do you believe that the truth will ever fully come out? If this story hit different for you, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. And click right here for another story they don't want you to know about.